As the cameras cut to the Etihad Stadium, the scene was filled with anticipation and energy. The air was buzzing with excitement as Manchester prepared for the first big home fixture of the season. The pre-match show captured both the vibrant atmosphere and the sense of occasion. Not only was it City against Tottenham, but it was also a celebratory day for fans at the Etihad, with plenty of music, dancing, and crowd interaction before kickoff. The presenters joked about dance moves, setting a lighthearted tone, before handing over to the studio team, who immediately emphasized the importance of this match. In the studio, there was a clear sense of back-to-school energy, that feeling of returning to familiar surroundings after a summer away, but noticing that everything has shifted slightly. The panel spoke about the changes around the stadium, the near-completed new stand adding more capacity, and the buzz of welcoming new players into the squad. They highlighted how crucial it was to begin the home campaign with momentum after such a strong start away at Wolves, where City stormed to a 4-0 win. Michael Brown, Steph, and the team discussed what it feels like for a player arriving on the bus for that first home game. The nervous butterflies in the stomach, the rush of excitement, and the inspiration from fans lining the streets waiting to greet their heroes. They noted the powerful impact that small gestures, such as high fives with young supporters, can have, creating lifelong memories. The stadium mural, featuring the club's 4 captains, was mentioned as a powerful symbol of leadership and continuity. A visual reminder of the responsibility now carried by Bernardo Silva, Ruben Dias, Rodri, and the others entrusted with guiding this new era of City. There was also a reflection on how this season feels like a new chapter. With experienced figures like Kevin De Bruyne and İlkay Gündoğan passing on leadership roles, there's a sense of renewal within the squad. Erling Haaland, still only 23, was highlighted as one of the central figures for City's future. The discussion underscored that while the squad feels refreshed with new signings and young talents, there remains the same hunger and high standards that have defined Pep Guardiola's reign. The consensus was clear. This game wasn't just another fixture. It was a chance to make a statement at home, set the tone for the campaign, and reassure fans that City intend to remain at the top of English football. When the official team sheet was finally confirmed, it sparked plenty of analysis in the studio. James Trafford retained his spot in goal after impressing with a clean sheet against Wolves. The back line remained consistent. Rico Lewis at right back, John Stones marking his decade at the club, and Ruben Dias alongside the newly signed fullback, Ait Nouri. This stability in defense was seen as crucial for setting the tone early in the season, giving the squad a platform to build from. In midfield, City fans were treated to the sight of continuity and freshness blended together. Jean-Noel Rinders, who had been man of the match against Wolves, kept his place, bringing creativity and drive, while Oscar Bobb was handed another start to showcase his development. The headline change, however, was the inclusion of Ryan Cherki. His brief cameo in the previous match had electrified supporters with dazzling footwork and fearless attacking play. The pundits questioned whether he could now carry that same magic into a starting role, labeling him a potential new superstar for the club. Bernardo Silva, although club captain, was rotated out, a reminder of the tactical fluidity under Pep Guardiola. Up front, Omar Marmoush joined Erling Haaland in attack, another significant tweak from the Wolves game. The panel speculated this was a deliberate adjustment to inject speed and unpredictability into City's forward line. The general expectation was that Haaland, already off the mark with goals this season, would benefit from quicker service, reducing the need for the laborious build-up play that sometimes slowed City last year. If Cherki and Marmoush could provide that directness, Haaland would be well-placed to thrive. The discussion also touched on the contrast between City's controlled possession and Tottenham's likely approach under their new manager. Spurs, the analysts noted, were aggressive, physical, and had defenders like Cristian Romero and Mickey van de Ven who wouldn't hesitate to test Haaland's strength. For that reason, City's inclusion of flair players such as Cherki, who is comfortable using both feet and has the daring to try something unexpected, could prove decisive. The excitement around him was palpable, with comparisons being drawn to past City greats like David Silva and even the inventive brilliance of Kevin De Bruyne. As the studio hosts agreed, this starting X-sign demonstrated Guardiola's intent. to keep the back four solid, energize the midfield with youth and technical quality, and unleash attacking options that could break down a resolute Tottenham defense quickly. For the home supporters, it was exactly the kind of bold selection that raised expectations and signaled that City weren't simply defending their dominance, they were looking to refresh and redefine it. Attention then shifted to the visitors. Tottenham arrived under new leadership, with Thomas Frank making his first big appearance at the Etihad as Spurs manager. Known for his impressive work at Brentford, where his teams regularly overachieved through meticulous preparation, tactical flexibility, and relentless energy, Frank has long been admired as one of the Premier League's sharpest coaches. Now entrusted with guiding Tottenham, the panel suggested that he brings both stability and ambition to a club still striving to re-establish itself among the elite. The Spurs' starting 11 reflected both continuity and change. In goal, Guglielmo Vicario provided a safe pair of hands, while Pedro Porro slotted in at full-back. The heart of the defense featured their new captain, Cristian Romero, partnered by Mickey van de Ven, forming a duo praised for their aggression and speed. Spence completed the back four. Midfield balance came from Pape Matar Sarr and Rodrigo Bentancur, with new signing Pellistri adding energy and a creative edge. Ahead of them, Mohammed Kudus, who had shone in flashes at West Ham before moving to Spurs, was tasked with linking midfield and attack. Brennan Johnson brought pace on the flank, and leading the line was Richarlison, fresh from scoring twice in the opening weekend. The pundits highlighted the absence of James Maddison, a massive creative loss, yet stressed that Spurs still carried plenty of attacking threat. Kudus and Johnson in particular were singled out as game changers, with Kudus' unpredictability and Johnson's direct running set to test City's defensive shape. The analysts also reminded viewers of Tottenham's curious record against City in recent years, often managing to frustrate and even defeat them despite the gulf in resources. Tactically, Thomas Frank's approach was the subject of much speculation. Would he mirror his Brentford blueprint and press City aggressively, forcing errors high up the pitch, or would he adopt a more cautious 4-3-3, as used against Burnley, to maintain defensive structure while exploiting counter-attacking opportunities? Both options had merit, and the panel agreed that whatever shape Spurs adopted, they would seek to make City suffer by denying them rhythm on the ball. The broader point made was that this fixture would reveal much about Tottenham's new era. Could Frank instill resilience against the very best, or would City's quality overwhelm them? Success for Spurs this season was defined as Champions League qualification and, ideally, a long-awaited trophy. To reach those goals, games like this one, against the reigning champions away from home, would be the ultimate test of their progress. The sense was that Spurs, even in transition, were not to be underestimated. Their pace, pressing ability, and tactical discipline could still cause real problems at the Etihad. As the broadcast moved closer to kickoff, the focus shifted from tactical analysis to reflection and storytelling. Manchester City used the occasion to celebrate their past and present, with special tributes to players and staff who have shaped the club's success. John Stones was at the heart of these conversations, marking his 10th year at the club. In an extended interview, he spoke with honesty about his journey, from arriving as a highly rated young defender with a heavy price tag to growing into one of Pep Guardiola's most trusted leaders. He recalled iconic moments such as his famous goal line clearance against Liverpool that helped swing a title race, as well as his role in City's Champions League triumph. Stones admitted that while injuries had tested him, the feeling of winning and lifting trophies remained addictive, driving him to want more. His loyalty, composure, and resilience were described as symbolic of City's standards. Former club captain Andy Morrison joined the studio to give his perspective, praising Stones as the prototype Guardiola defender, calm under pressure, technically gifted, and capable of starting attacks from deep. Morrison stressed that when Stones is fit, he transforms City, and alongside Ruben Dias, he forms one of the strongest central partnerships in world football. The panel reflected on the consistency and leadership that duo provides, noting how their communication and chemistry have anchored City during their most successful periods. The broadcast then welcomed a surprise guest from outside football, NBA star Alex Caruso, a devoted Manchester City supporter. Caruso described how he began following the club over a decade ago during his college years in Texas, bonding with friends over early morning Premier League matches and FIFA sessions. He spoke about the parallels between City's style and his own basketball career, highlighting the importance of energy, trust, and leadership in young squads. He admired Bernardo Silva in particular, likening himself to the Portuguese midfielder as a player's player, who does the unseen work that helps the team thrive. Caruso's presence underscored City's growing global reach, with fandom now deeply rooted across the United States. The spotlight eventually returned to Pep Guardiola, now entering his 10th season at Manchester City, a remarkable milestone in modern football. Commentators and pundits agreed that while debates may rage about whether he is the greatest of all time, there is little question he has transformed English football. His tactical innovations, relentless standards, and demand for excellence had raised the bar not only for City, but for the entire Premier League. The discussion recalled how critics initially doubted whether his style could succeed in England, only for him to double down on his philosophy and build one of the most dominant teams the league has ever seen. His legacy was framed not only in trophies, but in the cultural shift he inspired, a commitment to control, creativity, and collective sacrifice. As kickoff neared, the broadcast captured the electric atmosphere inside the Etihad. Fans waved scarves, the players emerged from the tunnel, and the energy was palpable. The panel summed it up perfectly. This wasn't just another game. It was the first home match of a new season, the beginning of another chapter under Guardiola, and a meeting with a Tottenham side eager to prove themselves under fresh leadership. For City, it was about making a statement that they remained the team to beat. For Spurs, it was about showing they could rise to the challenge. With the stage set, anticipation peaked, and all eyes turned to the pitch as the Premier League drama prepared to unfold once again.